Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting English literature lesson today. I hope by now you are ready with the GC Ordinary Level Anthology. Let's focus onto this poetry section. The poem that I have selected to discuss is Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Okara. Can you see the screen? You can see the picture of Gabriel Okara. Yes, my dear learners, what do you know about Gabriel Okara? I'm going to help you. Gabriel Okara, the time period is 1921 to 2019, and he is one of the modern African poets. Remember, he was born in Nigeria and he has used folklore, religion, myth and social issues to explore tradition and transition in his literary texts. Well, so remember children, the poem that I am going to discuss today is Once Upon a Time, and that poem was written by the Nigerian writer Gabriel Okara, and that expresses concern for the influence of the Western world on age-old African customs. Keeping that in your mind, let me focus your attention onto this question. What special effect is brought by the title Once Upon a Time? When you were a small child, you would have listened to the fairy tales, all these Cinderella, and there are many fairy tales that you have listened to. And those fairy tales started with Once Upon a Time. So, the title itself gives you that element, fairy tale. Let's pay attention to the poem. Before discussing in detail, my dear learners, please pay attention to the poem. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. But now they only laugh with their teeth. With their eyes block cold eyes, surge behind my shadow. Look at the second stanza. There was a time, indeed, they used to shake hands with their hearts. But that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. Feel at home, come again, they say. And when I come again and feel at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice, for then I find doors shut on me. So, I have learnt many things. I have learnt to wear many faces like dressers. Home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. And I have learned too to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance. To say glad to see you without being glad. And to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be when I was like you. I want to unlearn all these mutant things. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh. For my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. So, show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. Written by Gabriel Okara. Now, by now, my dear learners, had gone through 43 lines in this interesting poem. Let's look at the first stanza. Look at the first line, the opening line, once upon a time. So, I told you the first stanza, it opens once upon a time. So, there is kind of a fairy tale element. You are familiar with fairy tales. All these fairy tales started with once upon a time. So, here also you can see this. And who is the speaker here? The father. Father speaks to whom? To an infant son. And if you look at the second line, they used to laugh with their hearts. Can people laugh with hearts? What do you mean by? We are going to discuss. Please look at the next line and laugh with their eyes. And you can see the next line, but now they only laugh with their teeth, while their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. Did you get an idea about this stanza, children? To get the facts more clear, now let me know. In that first stanza, who speaks? Who is the speaker in the poem? Can you guess the answer, children? Yes. Father speaks to the son, and it's a monologue, a conversation within himself. The father speaks to himself, but father speaks. It's not a dialogue, it's a monologue, and father speaks to the son. What do you think about this question, children? Is the poem about the speaker's past? If you focus on to the screen, you can see they used to laugh with their hearts. That means an incident or things that these people used to do in the past. And they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. But now, can you see, there is a contrast. In the past, they used to laugh with the hearts and with their eyes. Laughing with heart and eyes, but now they laugh with their teeth and eyes block cold eyes, while search behind my shadow. I am going to discuss in detail these phrases, children. And if you see this question, look at the third question. How can a person laugh with his eyes and heart? Have you seen people laughing with eyes? Have you seen? I hope you can guess. According to the poem, the first stanza, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. Can you suggest a situation? I'm going to help you. When people laugh wholeheartedly, and if that laugh is genuine, if it is a true laugh, if that person is honest, that person can laugh with the eyes, because the emotions in the heart is reflected in the eyes. It shows sincerity, genuine, true, honest, wholehearted action is revealed or highlighted in the eyes. So, my dear students, when people laugh with the hearts, that is not a fake smile, it's authentic. Well, I want you to pay attention to this phrase, eyes block cold eyes. Now, when you discuss, when you look at this block, the word block, first pay attention, no problem with the eyes. Everybody has two eyes, but it is eyes block cold eyes. Block, it gives an impression of firmness, rigid, kind of a framework. And if you talk about ice block, cold ice, highlights, emotionless, without emotions. The phrase highlights or vividly explain emotionless habits of people. People do things without emotions. And another thing, ice block, cold ice can imply, give an insight for you to think about fake identity, not genuine. They are not true. Can you understand how nicely the words are used in this context? Another incident, another fact that you can think is maybe these people have ice block, cold ice because they are trapped. Could be those people are trapped and cannot raise their voices. So remember children, ice block, cold ice can give or can be interpreted in different ways. When you read this poem, the reader gets to know not the surface meaning, the emotionless behavior, the fake identity or not genuine ones. Sometimes people who are marginalized, those who cannot raise their voices, are also brought out through these nice phrases in the poem. Well, another question I need you to think about. If you look at, remember we have just read the poem, but still we are discussing the first stanza. What human behavior is being discussed in the first stanza? Yes, my dear learners, can you think about some possible answers? Yes, when people laugh with the hearts and with eyes, you can talk about the qualities, behavior, their sincerity, good nature. Look at the screen. The words are for you to identify simplicity, wholehearted, friendliness. That's not fake friendship, and overall satisfaction. So when you look at the first stanza, you can see they laugh with their hearts and with their eyes. If somebody laughs with heart and the eyes, if it is reflected, that genuine quality can be interpreted as the person's sincerity, the nature, good background, and simplicity, wholehearted, plus overall satisfaction without fake friendships. And in the first stanza, the last lines, if you remember, you will get to know these people nowadays, they laugh with teeth. So that gives an insight for you to think about the deceptiveness of the present day. Contemporary society is filled with people, those who disguise themselves. So their hypocrisy, corruption, insensitivity, rigidity, inhumanity, they are not human. They just like mechanically for the sake of their own selfish motives act, and innocent ones become victims. Well, I hope you have got a clear idea about the first stanza. Let's move on to the second stanza. Please look at the screen. There was a time indeed they used to shake hands with their hearts. But that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. There was a time indeed. That means that time is no more. And they used to, what they refer to? People in modern days. Modernized man. nowadays people, they used to, once upon a time, they used to shake hands, they do it, shake hands with their hearts. But that's gone, son. They, now what do? They shake hands with hearts, without hearts, not with hearts, without hearts, while their left hand search my empty pockets. So the people, those who greet one another, they look at the customs, the traditions, they do the westernized habits. They shake hand to show their status or to show that they are sincere. But on the other hand, they look, their left hand search their empty pockets. So financial status of a person is also comes into light or is going to be discussed through this. When people have friends, it's pathetic to see. You can see the writer is going to convince a very good idea. Once upon a time, their actions were very pure. They were not commercialized. In this commercialized, globalized industrialization, people have become slaves of money and they have forgotten their virtues, good morals. What do? While shaking hands, they shake hands without hearts. That means spiritualless, no spiritual development, without hearts, and their left hand search the one's empty pockets. Again, I want you to pay attention to this, because these lines, the 10th, 11th and the 12th lines in the second stanza are very important. When you write an answer, you have to quote these lines. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hand search my empty pockets. That means hands without hearts. What do you mean by them? What do you understand by that? Relationships are decided by the financial status or the wealth and the power that one or the other person enjoys. How pathetic it is to think even. So the writer has brought a very good fact in the second stanza. Let's focus on to the third stanza. Feel at home, come again. They say, and when I come again and feel at home once, twice, there will be no thrice. For then I find doors shut on me. Can you understand this stanza? Now, according to this westernized culture, people call their friends or neighbors and they say, come, feel at home. You can feel comfortable, come again, they say. But are they true? Are they truly saying that from their hearts? According to the poet, once, twice, the person can come, but there will be no thrice. And when that person sits for the third time, he finds doors shut on him. That means they are not genuine in inviting. People, those who say, feel at home, come again, they merely just utter words, but they are not genuine to open the person for another third time. They close their doors when the person comes for the third time. So you can analytically and logically think about the present day situation and how people treat one another. If you focus on to this next question, in the first three stanzas, what are the situations that the speaker sees changes in? Now, speaker's perception or the speaker's idea that he wanted to convey or the poet's intention is to show certain differences changing culture. You can see how the culture is being changed. What else can you think? Very good. Their attitudes. Another fact, can you think? Well done. And values in one's own country. So, the speaker wants to pay attention to three things: changing culture, attitudes, and values and the morals in the particular person's country. If you go through the first three lines, you can clearly understand that. Right. Please focus on to the fourth stanza. So, I have learned many things. I have learned to wear many faces, like dressers, home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile. Now, if you look at the last line, like a fixed portrait smile. What is a portrait? A picture. When you look at a picture, can you find an authentic smile? The picture, you get the smile all the time. It's not coming from the bottom of the heart. So, the particular poet pays our attention. He has learnt many things. He has adapted to the situation, and he has learned to wear many faces like dressers. We wear dresses without any issue. So, like the way we wear dresses, the poet says he is going to wear different faces. At home, he has a different face. When he goes to the office, another face. Remember, the smile or the laugh is a fake one according to him, according to the poet. Street face. When the person goes on the street, the face is different with a different smile. Host face. Now, hospitality, when somebody comes, host-guest relationships, you know. So, he has a different smile. Cocktail parties. You can see the culture how it is affected. There, he has a different face. And every face has a conforming smile. That smile is like a fixed portrait smile. It's a simile. And his smile is compared to a fake smile or not an authentic smile. Well, again, I want you to focus on this like a fixed portrait smile, the phrase. What can you say? By now you can think about it. The answer, that like a fixed portrait smile refers to a smile which remains fixed. It's a fixed one and does not change with personal feelings and moods. Actually speaking, fixed portrait smiles are not real authentic ones. You can understand human beings at different occasions having their smile or the laugh as or like a fixed portrait smile. Those who look at them will be misguided. Sometimes genuine ones might think that is the only correct genuine laugh. But remember, when you analyze this poem, you will get to know about people with different faces, with different smiles, with fake identity. So, my dear learners, you will learn many things about the outside world. These poems are very important for you to get a world knowledge, to understand about the world knowledge, about the world. So, again, coming back to this point, like a fixed portrait smile, you can understand the smiles are not authentic, they are not real. Well, now look at the fifth stanza. And I have learned to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance, to say glad to see you without being glad, and to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. Can you understand, my dear learners? So, the poet says he has learned too. Some more things he has learned. He has learned to laugh only with his teeth, not with his heart or with his eyes. This poet has learned to laugh with his teeth. I have also learned to say goodbye. Now you can see the manners that is used in the Western culture, and we also, a lot of people, they say goodbye. But when they say goodbye, actual meaning or what the person wanted to convey is not conveyed properly. Secretly or in his selfish motives, he thinks good riddance, wanted to get away. When a person wants to leave somebody, actually the person says goodbye, not wholeheartedly. And another phrase people use according to this westernized culture, glad to see you. But are they really glad? Without being glad. What is glad? Happy. Without any happiness, without any emotion, glad to meet you, they say. And to say, this poet says truly, he explains himself, his situation. It's been nice talking to you. When after being bored, that means boring. When the person felt, see how ironical is, how sarcastic is, the irony in these lines. So he has learned to laugh with his teeth, shake hands without his heart. According to the poet, he says he has learned to say goodbye, not actually goodbye. Wanted to, actual mean is good riddance. And he says glad to see you when he is not feel glad, when he is not happy. And it's been nice talking to you is when the person feels bored or feel boring. When the person is being bored, imagine the person to utter words saying, it's nice talking to you. So, you can see, laugh with only teeth, shake hands without heart, say goodbye when the person wants to go riddance, to get away, and saying glad to see you without being glad. It's nice talking to you after being bored. So, what can you think the reasons behind all these utterances or the emotions? Actually, the person reveals his true self. The poet reveals his true self and speaks to his son in a monologue. And what could be the reasons behind all these things for this person to disguise himself? If a person laughs with only teeth, and if that person shakes hands without heart, and if that person is tempted to say goodbye when he wanted to say good riddance, and if that person says glad to see you, actually not feeling glad to meet the particular person, and if that person utters again, it's nice talking to you, when that person feels bored. So what are the reasons behind all these utterances? Can you imagine? My dear learners, due to modernization, westernization, in this westernized world, modernized world, people have become very much selfish. Sometimes in a commercialized world, just to maintain their culture, they are not bothered about another human being. It's pathetic to notice that some of the people maintain status, but they have very less human feeling. They do not think about another person. They always think about one's own development. Selfish development they focus on. These things sometimes might happen due to the negative effects of westernization, or blindly when people absorb into modernized worlds. Due to modernization, sometimes some people reject their age-old traditions. They reject their own customs and rituals. Another fact I need you to focus on is, actually, my dear students, with all this, you get to know a different segment of people, the people with dishonesty. Remember, according to the poet, you can see how nicely the poet is going to convey about another segment of the society. Sometimes in this modernized, westernized, globalized world, you will come across this type of individuals. Individuals with dishonesty. They are not honest at all. Insincerity. Not sincere at all. Cunningness. I told you, in a commercialized, modernized world, they try to find their own pack, own food and own development. So they become automatically cunning. They deceive one another. They might come like saints, like angels, but they are not true ones. They disguise themselves. So deceptiveness and pretentiousness. They pretend. Like this, every time they pretend. So pretentiousness. So these words you must include in your answers when you write critical comments. Why do people behave? The reasons could be the dishonesty, insincerity, cunningness, deceptiveness, and pretentiousness of human beings are the reasons. And in broad detail, when we talk about due to modernization or westernization or globalization, people behave, disguise themselves, and will not truly show their true identity. So this poet has also learned to follow the same lot. I need you to focus on the 6th stanza. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be when I was like you. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Now you can identify a positive fact. In this monologue, in this conversation, father speaks to his son and says, I want to be what I used to be. What I used to be when I was like you. That means when he has become an adult, he has lost all his good qualities, with all his burdens or responsibilities. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Now he laments, he's worried. He says he wants to be like the child. He wants to go back to his childhood's innocence. He says, most of all, I want to relearn. Imagine, father says he wants to relearn. Learn that again. What to do? How to laugh. Why? Why? Now, I want you to go through the earlier stanzas up to 5th. You can see up to 5th, he has changed himself, but he has got shocked with his own laugh. He says, I want to relearn how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. He's scared of his own laugh. It's really interesting to notice how effectively the poet had used words. See how nicely there is a flow in this poem, and you get to know lot of facts in detail. If you look at the last line, he is very scared of his own teeth like a snake's bare fangs. Let's look at the screen. Do you know what snake's bare fangs are? Snake's bare fangs refer to poisonous teeth of snake. If you are scared of looking at these reptiles, please don't look at. Otherwise, you can see the screen. Can you see? Snake's bare fangs refer to poisonous teeth of snake. So the poet has compared his smile. He used to smile or laugh with his teeth compared to snake's bare fangs. Well, now you are going to pay attention to the seventh stanza. So, show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile. Once upon a time when I was like you. It's really nice to see the 14th line. The father addresses the son again and asking this son to show how to laugh. And how to laugh like his own childhood laugh. When during his childhood he used to laugh with sincerity. It was a genuine laugh. And he says, I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. So he wants to go back in time, back to his childhood. He recalls his childhood and he remembers how genuine that laugh was. He compares, it's comparative, comparing his previous childhood laugh and as an adult how he laughs according to different situations. So Gabriel O'Cara has given or has written a world recognized literary text for everybody to discuss about a universal theme. Something that is common in the world which we all can talk about. When it comes to human relationships, how people disguise one another in this contemporary world, you can think very deeply. How far you are going to relate those faked personalities, different behavioral patterns with this genuine identity of a small child who laughs with the bottom of his heart. Well, let's pay attention to the structure of the poem. When we talk about the structure of the poem, there are 7 stanzas. And let's look at a question. I hope you can answer easily. The early values of people that the poet appreciates in the poem are sincerity, good nature, simplicity, wholeheartedness, hospitality, friendliness, and overall satisfaction. Can you find words and phrases which highlight these? The words that I have mentioned some words, the early values, the morals, the good manners of people, the poet appreciates the values are sincerity, good nature, simplicity, wholeheartedness, hospitality, friendliness, and overall satisfaction. Did you find, my dear learners? Well done. I hope you've got one set of lines, a few lines. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. Those laughing with hearts and laughing with eyes gives a vivid description of, or gives a clear idea about the genuineness or sincerity, good nature, simplicity, wholeheartedness, friendliness, and their overall satisfaction. That's why when they laugh with the hearts, they laugh with the eyes. The whole body laughs. It's not a fake one. It's not a fake identity. It's really true. What else can you think? Yeah, very good. If you have found these lines, there was a time indeed they used to shake hands with their hearts. But that's gone, son. So this is something referring to the past. Well, I need you to focus on to another question. How does the poet show the deceptiveness of the present day human? What do you mean by deceptiveness? That means not expressing true feelings. Contemporary society, people, there are a lot of people, they do not show themselves. They do not show their true feelings. They disguise themselves. Can you find lines to support that? I'm going to help you. Hope you can clearly identify. Now, if you go through this, but now they only laugh with their teeth. When people laugh with their teeth, with their eyes block cold eyes. Search behind my shadow. There's a dark side. What do you mean by that? Now, deceptiveness, people are not with true feelings. They laugh like with teeth. But eyes block cold eyes signify that they are not genuine. Search behind my shadow. That's the darker side. Maybe the person wanted to find the weaknesses or the background. Unnecessarily, people look into a person's background, weaknesses. But to the face, they smile with teeth. Like that way. And now they shake hands with hearts while their left hands search my empty pockets. You can see how cunning people are. Like gentlemen, very, in a very standard way. Not only gentlemen, ladies also, they shake hand. But that shake hand, like westernized world, I'm not blaming any kind of a segment in this world or a culture, but certain practices among people, they shake hands, but without hearts. And their left hands, they look into the person's wealth. They look into the empty pockets. If that person's financial status is not stable, that friendship is no more. Well, we are going to look at another question. How does the poet show that people are bound by the trends set in motion by society? You are going to find words and phrases to highlight how does the poet show that people are bound by the trends set in motion by society. Can you find an answer? Yes. Now the trend here, sometimes you can say, sometimes there aren't any fixed answers. They tend to wear many faces like dressers. In this busy world, sometimes people have one different face at home, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. And the other one, which is very important, is if you look at the third stanza, you get it feel at home. Their hospitality, they want to show, but they say that they want to convey that they always look into the well-being or welfare of one another. They say for the name's sake, for the sake of saying, feel at home. But actually, they really don't want people to be at their place. And the ironical thing is, the fifth stanza, if you go through, they say, come again, goodbye, glad to see you, it's been nice talking to you. All these things, the trends in the society. There is a trend, people say, they utter. Yeah, if you look at the fifth stanza, you can say, come again, goodbye, glad to see you, it's been nice talking to you. The trends in the society. Blindly people follow these things, but without their true feelings, true emotions. They utter these words as mere words. All these things, my dear learners, happen due to westernization and the modernization. People sometimes forget their own culture. The good things in the culture people forget and blindly follow certain westernized practices. Well, if you look at this question, how does the poem show that modernization forces people to be insincere? Do you think that this influence has spread all over the world? Which overall message does the poem give to the reader or the society? You can think about this question in detail and can write a detailed answer. Well, when you write a detailed answer, you have to quote lines, and remember, you have to mention the reasons also behind all these actions. A person to shake hand without hearts, keeping their left hands in search of empty pockets, could be a result of a westernization or modernization or due to commercialized, globalized world. In detail, you can write a good answer. Let's discuss the techniques used by the poet now. When you pay attention, the title of the poem, Once Upon a Time, I told you even at the beginning, can you remember? That's a fairy tale element you find in that once upon a time. And what does that signify? Once upon a time signifies his desire to go back in time. When you analytically look at this poem, you can see the poet's desire to go back in time. Further, he wants to regain his childhood innocence. So, the poet had started the poem with once upon a time, and he wanted to go back to his childhood innocence in the seventh stanza. But remember, the technique used here is, once upon a time refers to a fairy tale. And the second technique is dramatic monologue. Do you know what a monologue is? Now, this conversation, it is not a dialogue. Though it is between father and the infant son, father addresses infant son. And the technique used here is dramatic monologue. And this is, if you look at the screen, this personal monologue explaining personal experiences. And you can see the entire poem has that man talking to his son. You have identified or realized this son never utters anything. The son remains mute throughout the entire poem. And the man only speaks. That's why we say it's a monologue. Man explains to his son about the change that has taken place in this African society and asks him to help him to change himself. Man wants son to help him to regain his childhood again. The man looks himself through his own child. Right. the next technique that we can discuss is first person narrative. You can see the word I, and the poem is in the first person narrative, and the poet uses the word I. You can see it depicts an autobiographical narration by the man. It's not a biographical narration, it's autobiographical. The speaker is the poet. So, it's first person narrative. It's another technique. Another important technique is slow paced. If you look at the entire poem, all these 7 stanzas, the poem moves at a slow pace. And the poem uses repetition, quotations to maintain a sense of deliberateness throughout the poem. Remember, the poem has a slow pace. Well, another technique is figurative language. I hope you can understand what figurative language is. Laugh with their eyes. Do not get carried away by the surface meaning. It's not merely laughing with their eyes. There is a deep meaning we have discussed. And laugh with their teeth. Now, laugh with their eyes refer to genuine, sincere, wholehearted laugh. Laugh with teeth, fake, insincere, inhuman, rigid laugh. So, these words we call the technique figurative language. The poet had successfully used in the poem. Well, I need you to pay attention to this point, this technique, subtle manipulation of tone. That subtle manipulation of tone, if you go through the tone, actually the poem begins on a negative tone. You can see the poet is not happy at all at the beginning, but ends with a very positive tone, nostalgic, because you can see the man complains, laments or worried about the changes he sees in his own culture, and he is worried about himself. But at the end, you can see there is a ray of light or hope in his son. And he notices his son has not been affected by this negative change. Son has not been influenced by these outside factors. Son is real, true, sincere, human. And this adult is asking him to help him to regain his childhood innocence once again. So, this subtle manipulation of tone begins on a negative tone and ends with a very nostalgic, positive tone. Well, another technique I want you to see is metaphor. If you look at people's eyes are as cold as I is a metaphor. And this metaphor highlights or gives an insight for us to think about. There is no warmth or real feeling in the words they utter or they behave, how they behave. People's eyes as cold as I refer to eyes without warmth, without real feelings in their words and their behavior. Yes, my dear learners, can you find the simile given in this poem? Very good. Like a fixed portrait smile is the simile used in this poem. And what does that imply? Like a fixed portrait smile implies that the smiles are actually not authentic, they are not genuine, they are fake. Yes, well, now look at the next technique. It's irony. If you can quote lines, you can see, I have learned to wear many faces like dresses, home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile, highlights and gives you a different meaning. So, it's very ironical. Well, now let's discuss the themes. If you look at this poem very carefully, you can see the social behavior. Pretentiousness and hypocrisy can be identified. Another theme that we can discuss is lack of honesty and sincerity in human relationships in the modern world. And you can endorse that fact with this phrase, fixed portrait smile. Another theme that highlights in this or throughout the poem is effect of society and social ethics on human behavior. And you can see the individual is shaped by the society. Manners and selfish motives of people are highlighted through those themes. Financial status and social status of the person is also highlighted or is revealed when we analyze this poem in detail. The last theme that we can discuss is the innocence of children versus the corruption, dishonesty in adults. And you will get to know about the genuine characters, fake characters, those who disguise as saints. Well, now let's look at the screen. The poet wants to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, he wants to relearn how to laugh. You can see the picture, how the child laughs wholeheartedly. So the poet wants, he says, so show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. My dear learners, I think by now you have learned a lot about the facts highlighted in this poem, Once Upon a Time. If you have missed anything, don't worry. Please log on to channel NIE on YouTube and do the references. Until we meet again, please take care, stay safe. Goodbye.